Welcome to Tennessee's Sound Review. Today we have with us Les Hall. He plays downtown Nashville, predominantly at Swinging Doors. So
It's actually Losers Downtown
it
now.
is Losers.
It's essentially the same thing, except
Yes,
different name on the building.
it is a different name on the building. So let's talk about what brought you from Alabama to Nashville.
Okay. Coming up in South Alabama, we all had a distinct ability to make a living down there. There's plenty of venues to play, plenty of people to play with, and some really talented cats down there. But my band and several other bands from down that way, we were all good. We were all really good. And I could recognize that in my friends as well. But we all seemed to have a glass ceiling. We couldn't get past this point. And most of us tend to have a pretty romantic view of the music business. And we think, talent is going to take us there. And that's all you need is talent and good work ethic. But for whatever reason, none of us were able to cross that threshold. And so I decided to come to Nashville to figure out why.
Before we go further, do you want to talk about that some? I know we've had conversations about this, the illusion and how much talent plays a part versus the reality.
Yeah. I was guilty of it as well. I had the most romantic views of the music business as you could, and I grew up, with watching Kurt Cobain and Chris Cornell and those guys, and Aerosmith and Zeppelin and Skinner and all that, watching those guys be rock stars. And from the time I was this high, that's where I wanted to go myself. But the internet happened and all that happened, and music became widely available to everyone. More sources than just the radio and a collection of owned music. And that played a big part in the record labels taking less risk in the artists and we found ourselves in a landscape where the record labels were signing people that were making money, and that didn't seem fair either. Couldn't rectify all that. So anyway, I had to come here to Nashville to take a look behind the curtain. I needed to know what the deal was and what I've learned. And what I came to Nashville to learn and what I've learned is that talent will take you to a certain spot where you can make a living and you can affect people on whatever local, maybe regional scale you can get yourself to. But it's just like if I was starting a plumbing business, if I was an excellent plumber, I could have a good, strong local plumbing presence. And then if I was a really good plumber and had a little bit of business sense, I could have a really strong regional plumbing company. But if I'm going to scale that nationally or globally, there's going to have to be an injection of cash into that. And the same thing applies to the music business. It's music for a long time, and then to scale it, it has to become business. And so at a certain point, it's just like any other startup. You have to have some sort of capital investment to make a few key things happen to potentially spring into a national spotlight.
On top of the talent.
Yeah. Well, your talent is your product.
Sure.
And you have to first determine whether there's a need for your particular product in the marketplace. And then you have to get that product to the marketplace. And then if you've done all that correctly, there's no real guarantee that the market will accept it and there will be a demand for it.
It's the next level, next task.
Yeah, it's always the next task.
Does that play a part in why you do choose to play Swinging Doors Losers?
Well,
more intimate.
I'll be the first I come from a live background. That's what we all did back home, and made a pretty decent living at it. We were able to feed ourselves, keep the power on, stuff like that. And quite honestly, when I was preparing to move to Nashville, I was told several times, don't play downtown. There's a stigma. If you're a downtown musician, then you're a downtown musician and nobody wants you on tour and stuff like that. But I didn't find that. When I got here, I purposely didn't play downtown. And then I made friends in the city, some of which were bartenders and managers and stuff. And there'd be a cancellation, and they'd call me, "Can you come cover this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll come cover it." And that led to, "Can you do every Wednesday night?" And I thought, "Yeah, this is fun. I enjoy playing live. I need to scratch this itch, so yeah, I'll do it." And I realized there's no stigma. It's just dudes with some talent and chicks with some talent that have a way to make life happen without having to sell their soul into a cubicle or something like that. So started playing down there quite a bit and making my friends in the scene and that sort of thing. And what I realized, and I don't know if I should talk about this publicly because it's a trade secret, but what I realized was going downtown in Nashville, particularly, and playing. This doesn't exist everywhere, but in Nashville, it's such a tourist attraction, and music is a part of that tourist attraction that people. I'll give you an example. There was one night I was playing down there that I was playing for a group from Texas of about 10 or 12 people, a group from Canada of about 20 people. There was a few from California. There was two from the UK. There was a group, 7 or 8, from Scotland, and a large group, 30 or 40 people from Australia in the
Wow,
same room, and that was my audience. And so I called it. I thanked them for coming to my first show of my world tour type of thing because
that's
that's
awesome.
I call it the inverse of touring because that's what it is. I drive 10 minutes from my house and plug in my guitar and sit down and entertain people from all over the world. And
Absolutely.
that's as long as that will exist. That's an invaluable resource that I'm not sure people truly appreciate.
So it can be about perspective, really. It's what you make of it.
In life about perspective.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Now, you have a new album coming out. What
Yeah.
inspired this and how long have you been working on it?
I don't want to talk about how long I've been working on it. Um, I don't mind telling you. I've been working on it for about a year and a half now. It's taken quite a long time. It's only two of us involved in it. It's, myself and my friend Stephen Van Etten, who you've seen play
Mm-hmm.
with me downtown, but he's
Fantastic.
also a fantastic sound engineer as well, and a hell of a guitar player. So he's been engineering the thing for me, and we've been kind of co-producing it. And uh, he played electric guitar and bass guitar on the record, and that left the rest to me. So it's taken us quite a bit longer than any of us would like to admit, but we haven't spent a dime doing it either.
Before you go further on the album, that brings up something else. Guitar wasn't your first choice.
No, no. The guitar was actually a last resort. Um, I started on piano because that was the instrument that was around. Grandmother, my great grandfather had bought my grandmother a baby grand piano for their wedding gift, for her wedding gift in 1922. And that piano was at my grandmother's house. And was just sitting there just begging for me to play it. And so I did. And my family called me. I taught myself how to play Desperado.
Nice.
And
Good first choice.
that led to piano lessons. And eventually, um, with, lower middle class family in Alabama, you couldn't just run out and buy a drum kit. So eventually, I cut my aunt's grass 13 times. She bought me a little drum kit out of someone's attic, and I cut her grass 13 times to pay that drum kit off. It turns out that was a Gretsch round badge series from the 60s, and I didn't know what I had, and I sold it to somebody. Yeah. Fortunately, I sold it to the resident jazz cat in town and somebody that would really appreciate it, but
That's good.
it wasn't a rock and roll kit, man. I wanted a rock and roll kit. But drums are my drum. I identify as a drummer. Um, I just once upon a time I got tired of trying to explain to my guitar player the chords that I wanted him to play because of these lyrics that I'd written down. And plus I realized I could get attention from the girls at the fire in the woods where everybody was hanging out if I had my guitar out there, and that might have been a
Might have
small
helped a little
catalyst,
bit.
a small catalyst. But so yeah, it was just a way to. At first, it was a way to write, and then
Sure.
it was a way to entertain uh, whatever crowd happened to be in front of me, and then it became a way to forge a living.
Then when you started working on the album, we were talking about influences. When people get to hear this, which no one's heard that hasn't worked on it pretty
No,
much.
no.
So
I
he's
played some
treating
of the
us.
songs out a few times. Um, one in particular seems to be resonating really hard, so I play it quite often. But the amount of people that are privileged to what's on there as of now is
Small.
pretty small.
Has to be. That's another
Yeah,
topic we can touch on, that you keep the baby close until
yeah,
it's time.
yeah.
But there's a lot of influences you're mentioning
Yeah, I've
within the
been
album.
influenced by so much. When I was first realizing music, my parents had a collection of vinyl and all that, and it was everything from Skinner and Van Halen and to Chicago to Kool and the Gang to what you name it, and when I first started kind of coming into my own, I really liked 80s hair metal. To this day, I'm not ashamed to admit it. Bon Jovi's one of my favorite bands of all time.
Hey, no shame in that.
But when I really started cutting my teeth was with all that 90s grunge, and I did idolize all those guys, the Nirvanas and Pearl Jams and Alice in Chains and all that, and Soundgarden. And those were heavy influences, but I was also pretty heavily influenced by 90s rap, hip hop. The Snoop Dogs and the Tupacs and Biggie, Dre and all that,
The
So
OGs.
yeah, the '90s were a beautiful time, when you think about it.
A lot of great music.
You had Nirvana and Pearl Jam on the rock charts, and Counting Crows and Matchbox 20 on the
Yeah.
pop charts, and Garth Brooks and Shania Twain in country, and Snoop and Dre and Nate Dogg and all those guys on the hip hop chart. So across the board, there was just good music everywhere.
Do you think some of that was a time of storytelling?
Quite
Because
a
I hear
bit,
that a
yeah.
lot in your music. Everybody you mentioned is a pretty good storyteller in their music, in their own genres, their own
Yeah.
ways. Um, I feel like what I've learned from your music is you tell stories. You have something to say behind everything that you put out. And what
I
would you say is like underlying in this album?
I don't like to write songs if I don't have something to say. And that's another topic for another day. But
Sure.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Do you feel like there was a message behind the album? Like
Yeah,
underlying
there
message?
is. It's I call it common sense activism. I feel like in the world we live in today, common sense may be undersupplied. And so it's encouraging that. It's encouraging having real conversations, and it's encouraging being able to rely on yourself. It's a I had a light bulb go off about 3 years ago now, and it just kind of removed a filter that I see the world through, and I see it as a very real place now,
Hmm.
and a little bit below the surface, a little bit deeper than just wandering around subconsciously all day. And that's a beautiful thing, and it's a terrible thing too. I see way more good in the world, but I also see way more bad. And there's potentials for things that none of us were prepared for. And this is me trying to get that conversation going,
That's a beautiful
so
thing.
that if ways of life and things we, our creature comforts and things we know and love ever become not the priority, then we have some sort of nucleus that can indeed right the ship, so to speak.
I like that. I think that's a good place to end, going into hearing some of your album.
Okay,
Is
we
there
can
any
make that
other?
happen. I know a guy.
You know a
I know a
guy?
guy.
Might be close by. If people want to find out more about your album or how to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Um, well, the online presence is about to ramp, but right now, just Facebook and Instagram is the way to do it.
And what's your Facebook for everybody?
You just have to search for my
And
name. It's
Less Hall.
Leshall. I don't know my specific URL.
We'll put it in the description.
My username on Instagram is LESLEE_Hall.
Awesome.
That should take you right to me.
Great. Let's hear some music.
Let's do it.
I would say Ride Hour's mission is to provide a quality service to the Middle Tennessee music scene. When you come in, we treat you like a rock star. We bring you into our family. If you haven't been here yet, you should definitely come check us out. It's a cool place.
All right. So, this song, let me just tell you the story behind it. I'd been in Nashville for a few years at this point, and I was back home for Christmas, and somebody that I'd grown up with, who was, to my knowledge, busy living the American dream. He had a wife and a small daughter. I think she was about 3 years old, and a roofing business of his own. He had some employees and stuff. And I was back home for this Christmas, and I was, of course, last minute shopping, and hit the Walmart there in my hometown. And on my way out, I hear my name, and I look, and I don't even recognize this dude that's saying my name. He's coming towards me, and he has to get right to me before I even recognize who he is. And he looked like he had died 6 months previously and was still walking around. And after a short conversation, I just asked him, I said, man, what is it? What are you on? What are you doing? What are you smoking? And of course well, man, what are you talking about? I said, come on, man, known you your whole life. What is it? And he admitted he had made some pretty terrible choices. So I told him, I said, man, when you're ready, I know how this works. When you're ready, you call me and we'll figure out a plan to get you clean, safe, put your life back together. And that haunted me, man, because he and I both once had the same potential roads ahead of us, I got back to Nashville a few days after that, and it was still pretty heavy on me. And I was on my way home from a gig one night, and it just, this one started bubbling to the surface, so I had to run straight home and write it. It's called Devil Spoon. My brother, what's become of you? Who's this man I don't know? Where's the man I once knew? What devil's got you dancing? What debts do you owe? Has he stolen your soul, man? Do you even know? Is it burning through your veins or smoking holes in your head? How many big and bad men are wanting you dead? Can you hear your mama's tears, or are you too far gone? Is there any light left to light your way back home? Cause the reaper man is waiting through the fields, shining up the blade that he wields. Better hold that gate, don't let him out before you can spit the devil's spoon out your mouth. My brother, there's wolves at your door. They've tasted your blood, man, they're thirsty for more. And what do you see when you can't open your eyes? When you wish on a star, do you wish you could die?
That's the devil's right hand upon the back of your head. Listen real close, man, you hear what he said. Make no mistake, boy, he's coming for you. With a spoon in your hand, a mouth full of his stew. Cause the reaper man is waiting through the fields, shining up the blade that he wields. Better hold that gate, don't let him out before you can spit the devil's spoon out your mouth. There's a light at the end, man, there's people who love you, a whole lot of friends, man, a good God above you. A 3-year-old lady that thinks you hung the moon, she's about to lose her daddy, man, set down the spoon. Cause the reaper man is waiting through the fields, shining up the blade that he wields. Better hold that gate, don't let him out before you can spit the devil's spoon out your mouth. That one's called Devil's Spoon. I thank you kindly. All right, so this album that I'm working on, it's actually going to be under the name Storm Foreman. And this part of that light bulb that I was finding before, this is where this was born. I started really seeing the world for what it is and for my place in it and my lack of place in it at the same time. But we're going through this past election and all these things, potential soul-crushing events, and I thought, how do you live in a world that is potentially disastrous? How can you do that and find a peace and find a happiness? And I realized that answer, I knew it all along, I just had to call it the answer, and that's where this song came from. I'm not certain it's going to translate well acoustically, but we're going to find out together. Gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Where you gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Man, I can grow a seed and I know how to shoot. I can catch a fish, I can brew my own brew, I can grow my own smoke, 'cause there might come a day when life as we know it will start to fade away and civilization will start to break down. Saw martial law up in your hometown, man, they ain't catching me with my pants down. Ain't no way in hell, so bring it on now. Where you gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Where you gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Man, you gotta admit it's at least crossed your mind, and we might be living here in the end times. I ain't no conspiracy man, but in a daydream I can see a whole way of life falling apart at the seams. We all been crossing the lines, we all been seeing the signs. We've been kidding ourselves, we're turning a blind eye. And if it all goes to hell in a handbasket, I'm asking you, where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Where you gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Where you gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks? We're living on a fault line, biggest one of all time. And Mother Earth, man, she's shaking in her shoes. And what if she starts to give? How you gonna live? Where you gonna run? What the hell you gonna do when all hell breaks loose? Say, where you gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Where you gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Where you gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Where you gonna go, what you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? That was called When All Hell Breaks Loose, if you didn't catch that previously. Okay, this one's brand new. I just wrote it. It's not gonna make it on this first record. It's unfortunate, but it'll be on the second one. I can promise that. So I'm excited about it. I was able to say what I intended to say when I sat down. I've seen amongst my friends and amongst friends of friends and literally the nation as a collective, the amount of importance we put on likes and friends in the social media world and that sort of thing. And it's wildly apparent to me that we're all judging our day-to-day life versus everyone else's highlights and the damage that does to our individual psyches and that sort of thing. And I really was really trying to figure that out one day, and this song, just like the good ones do, they bubble up from somewhere that I don't exactly know. And I've never performed this one, but I'm about to. So fingers crossed, you guys. We're not hard to define. Our whole lives are online. Every detail designed. Overpour the inside. We've lost sight of all lines. Once this lies between sides. Who among us decides what is really real life? Manicure the profiles, demonstrate the lifestyle. Empty eyes and fake smiles. Validate me, validation on trial. We display the highlights. Filters hide the tears cry. And the lonely inside. Life is perfect, life is perfect, life is perfectly fine. Life is perfect, life is perfect, life is perfectly fine. I'm not content online. I'm not only online. Life is perfect, life is perfectly fine. Life is perfectly fine. Life is perfectly fine. I'm not only online. I'm
a little bit. I just played 10 sets in the last 8 days, and that was a little more gas than I had left in the tank. Worth it, though, totally worth it. Part of my Nashville story is I moved from back home here inside a long-term committed relationship, girl I thought I was going to marry. And at the end of our first lease, she stayed on one side of town and I moved to the other. That began that process of removing that filter that I told you that I removed. And in retrospect, that broken heart is among the greatest gifts anyone's ever given me before. But I had to go in and figure out how that had happened because I did not intend for it to happen. And I didn't want it to happen again. So I had to understand it. And through that process, I got this song. It's called Forever My Burn. You pinned me to the ceiling, and I couldn't get any higher. What elegant lover, so appealing. You were bound to start a fire. Now I'm busy stomping out embers and spilling ashes from the urn. Well, now and 4 million more Decembers, once my flame, forever my burn. Once my flame, forever my burn. Once my flame, forever my burn. Now will your ghost ever leave me? Wish it would follow your lead. The touch of another still deceives me, so I'd rather just bleed. Once my flame, forever my burn. Once my flame, forever my burn. Does anybody ever meant a lesson lived, a lesson learned? Singe me right through my skin. Burn, burn, baby, burn. Once my flame, forever my burn. Once my flame, forever my burn. Forever my burn. Thank y'all for listening.
Welcome back. We have something here on Tennessee Sound Review we call the hot seat, where we let an audience member ask questions to our guest. And today we have a guest that would like to ask Les some questions.
All right. First of all, it's an honor to be here and witness what's going on here. Les, I guess one thing, like with you, dude, you have like such a calm, somber energy. Can you give us a little more perspective on where that stems from, as far as your past history? If that's okay to ask.
Yeah, man, it's a fantastic question. It's probably a conversation that we'll probably need to round out like elsewhere. So we'll have to sit down and have some food or something. But basically, some things happened in life that I didn't plan for, that I didn't intend to happen. Like with Forever My Burn, that heartbreak. I moved to Nashville with a girl I expected that I was gonna marry, and then that didn't happen, and I had to figure out why that was. And so it led me to a lot better and vicariously myself, trying to figure out the reasons for those sorts of things. And it's a really, really long conversation, one that I have anytime. But overall, it comes from the confidence that I realize that I can handle whatever is thrown at me, and I can also see a little bit further than my own head and recognize the way things are before. It's an urgent, catastrophic type failure for for whatever part of life that you're trying to water and grow. And I feel like a lot of us, we just move along kind of subconsciously and not completely aware of who we are, but most importantly, why we are. And I think when you find a purpose, your purpose that's unique to you, it gives you a level of confidence that the world will react the way you need it to react. If you're on a righteous path and you stay on that righteous path, and what I mean is by go after whatever you want to go after in life, but just don't impede anyone else. And that's a righteous way to live. And if you're on that righteous path, then you're gonna attract that energy back to you. And so that's me trying to sum up probably 12 hours worth of conversation in just a few minutes. But that's what it is, man. I think that I've realized that true fulfillment only comes in service to others. And no matter how many accomplishments you have, no matter how much money you make or how famous you are or whatever, the only thing that's really going to matter at the end of your days is how much love you've given and how much love you've created and what you mean to other people who've known you your entire life. Whose burden did you ease? Whose sanity did you help maintain? Those sorts of things. And I think that's where the path to true fulfillment is. And if you look around, man, there's opportunities to serve everywhere. So helping people, man, I think that's what it's all about. Help yourself, but help people too.
You've got such a great way of explaining things and perspective.
Thank you, man. I feel like I was fumbling. There's a lot I was trying
to not at all, man. That was
freeze dry here, but
that was beautiful, dude. I guess okay. So I was born and raised in Smyrna, which is the greater part of Nashville. Give me, I'm a new artist, a new solo artist. Give me some perspective as to coming from Alabama and coming up here, like the differences that some of the trials and errors and stuff that you had to go through coming up here, and what you have as an outside perspective coming into Nashville. Because I'm not a country artist, you're not a country artist, so I would love to hear that.
Once again, man, we could have hours of conversation on this, but I had to, like I said, I had a real romantic view of music business, and it rewards its talented and all that sort of stuff. But and I had to come to Nashville for an education because I had to know the answers to some questions, and I found those answers. And it's that the general rules of business apply to the music business as well. It's not good songs do not automatically rise to the top. And the reason for that is that there's more songs than if we started recording right now, in our lifetime, we probably couldn't record the songs that have been written that have never been heard. And so, like I said, general rules of business apply. And so that being the case, either choose your business path, create your product and choose your business path and market that product, or the route that I've chosen to take is make the music that is authentic to me, that addresses real things. It's not just another, song about ice cold beer, man. Those are good songs, but there's enough of them. If we're in the business of selling rocks and everybody else is selling this type of rock, and that's all we're going to offer, then all our rocks are going to be real cheap. They're not going to have any value. And so, but a different rock may have value, and that's what I've chosen. I have purposely, consciously chosen to write what's true to me, to put it into the universe and let the universe do with it what it wants to do with it. If there's a need for what it is I have to say, then at that point maybe the universe will smile upon me, and I'll have a little fortune and maybe not have to work quite so hard to keep the lights on and food in the fridge and that sort of thing. But I write when I have something to say. I don't write because I have an appointment, and I'll just leave it at that. I hope that satisfies your question, sir.
Absolutely. Like, I feel like we could talk all day long.
Yeah.
One last question.
Sure.
Where can we hear you play next?
I play downtown Nashville. My main gig is at a place called Losers downtown, and it's a real cool spot. They let me entertain the audience that's there. They don't prescribe a certain.
Are you referring to
playlist.
Losers on West End?
There's a Losers in Midtown.
Oh, okay. All right.
On Division Street.
Okay. All right. I know
And
what you're talking
now there's also a Losers downtown, which is just quarter block south of Broadway on 4th Avenue. So
about. Rock on, man.
there's a good chance I'm there. They get a lot of work out of me. So thank you, brother.
Thank you.
You said that you don't write a song unless you've got something to say. And all your writing to me, all your songs as I'm listening to them, all read is just completely honest, just true to the bone, like you're just telling a story. So my question is, has it always been that way? How has it developed over the years? How has your songwriting process developed into total honesty?
I've always tried to write from an honest place. When I first moved to town, I did the co-write thing, the network and co-write, and it's an inside joke in the circles in Nashville. We should write one, man. That's you hear that a lot in this town, and I did, and I've met some really fabulous people along the way. I have a theory about co-writing, though. I haven't. It's just a theory. Take it or leave it. But when I go to a co-write, I might have a good idea that I go in and I think this would be a cool song to write, and we end up writing that idea. And then if it's a good writing session, we end up writing that idea, or maybe we have a conversation, we pick something else to write about, but that's another idea. And when I get home from the gig and the whole world's asleep and it starts bubbling up from that place, then I'm writing feelings at that point. And interpretations, not ideas. And I think that has something to do with it. And, I moved to town because I wanted to be a songwriter. I was tired of running the roads with my band and wanted to kind of settle in and be home more, and I thought if I can do this, I can make a living writing songs and go home every night. That'd be a beautiful thing. And it took me about a year and a half to recognize that maybe that's not a good career path. And so I really started getting out and playing live quite a bit. But while I was doing that whole co-writing thing, I was writing with the idea of commercial viability in my brain. I was trying to say real things and write from a real place, but it's difficult when you're in that machine that cranks out songs quite a bit, and I talk about having a couple of light bulbs go off, and one of those light bulbs was, given myself complete permission to write 100% authentically. It's whatever I have to say. If I'm working out some sort of problem in my head, or if I notice something about society that maybe we don't have the greatest perspective on, or values being placed in the wrong spot, and consequently tons of people are unhappy about that, or happy about whatever the case may be, I just I pay attention, and then I write what it is that I need to say. Whether or not anybody hears it, that's not up to me, or needs to hear it, that's not necessarily up to me. But I feel like if I pay attention to the world that's actually around me, not the one that I hope is around me, or the one that I've been taught that is around me, if I pay attention to the world that is actually in front of me, then I'll know very truthfully what it is I need to say. And if people need to hear it, that's awesome. If they don't, then that's awesome too.
I think that's a really great perspective, man. Thanks for answering my question.
You're welcome, brother.
It just
My
took me a
pleasure.
lot.
Joining us for another episode of Tennessee Sound Review, and thanks so much to Les Hall for coming and
I'm
sharing.
happy to be
his
here. Thanks
music
for
and-
bringing me down.
Absolutely.
Sorry I had you guys wait on me.
Not at all. We'll always wait on Les.
Yeah.
So looking forward to the new album.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody, and we'll put his information in the description so you can find out where you can hear it yourself and when it's coming out. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, it's Rod Black, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to TSRtv. Special thanks to our incredible team, Ridenauer Studios, here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, our partner and sponsor. Tyler Callahan, audio engineer and mixer. Ethan Morrell, website and social media. Courtney Marie Fleming, graphic design, photographer, videographer, and editor. And of course, our amazing host, VP JJ Monville. For more information, feel free to check out our website at TennesseeSoundReview.com. If you'd like to be a sponsor and help us bring more independent artists to the state of Tennessee, feel free to email us at jesse@TennesseeSoundReview.com.
Where you gonna go? What you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Where you gonna go? What you gonna do? Where you gonna run when all hell breaks loose? Well, I can grow a seed and I know how to shoot. I can catch a fish, I can brew my own brew. I can grow my own smoke, 'cause there might come a day when life as we know it might start to fade away, and civilization might start to break down. And it's almost a law up in your hometown. Man, they ain't catching me with my pants down. Ain't no way in